Hello, this is Taha.
This is Anaina,
This is Movie Masala.
and we're here to yap at you about films we watched recently.
And today we're doing.
A TV show called Adults.
Okay, everybody huddle up. We are in the roast chicken phase of life. So let's be vigilant and let's be normal and let's throw this dinner party like the goddamn grown-ups we are.
Oh my god! No! Oh, he drank weird milk.
So, Adults is the new FX original sitcom, which has been called Friends for Gen Z. And I was like, okay, I love Friends, and I am Gen Z. Let's watch it.
In my head, it's six people watching TikTok together and talking about how bad everything is.
Not really, actually. That's genuinely. I thought there was going to be a lot more TikTok references than there actually were. I don't think there was like a single TikTok reference, which is like insane. I glossed over the TikTok reference because it was so inconsequential. Anyway, that's beside the point. The point is that this show is fun. It's light. It's 8 episodes of like max 30 minutes. And, it takes a little while to grow on you because you just get thrown into this like dynamic of people. And in the first few episodes, you're kind of getting to know how people know each other and like why they all live together and blah, blah, blah. Basically, the premise is literally the same as Friends, except it's 6 of them in one house in Queens.
Yes, now that's accurate, Gen Z. Only 6 people together can afford one apartment in New York.
Exactly. So instead of like, living in main Manhattan, they live in a house in Queens. And obviously the house belongs to one of the characters, Samir, who's played by Malik El-Assal. And it's his parents and basically him and his 3 other friends, Billy, played by Lucy Fryer, Isa, played by Amita Rao, and Anton, played by Owen TL, live together. Sorry, it's 5 people living. Why have I been saying 6? It's 5 people. Samir, Billy, Isa, and Anton. And the 5th person is Isa's boyfriend, Paul Baker. And we never know him as Paul. He's Paul Baker the whole time. Which I think it's such a...
They literally borrowed a Paul from Friends. Isn't Paul Rudd's character named Paul in Friends?
No.
Okay.
Paul Rudd's character's name is Mike.
Yes. My bad.
There is a Paul in Friends, but he plays like one of Rachel's boyfriends. Anyway, inconsequential. But yeah, so we have Samir, Billy, Isa, Anton, and Paul Baker in this house that is owned by Samir's parents. And basically the premise is it's 20-something-year-olds learning capital R responsibilities. You have a hospital episode. You have a they get shit-faced episode. You have a Billy is dating her teacher episode.
Okay.
Like, a lot of it is like really familiar and like drawn from...
Real experiences.
Not real experiences, but from like other sitcoms of the same nature, which is like a group of friends that you're basically dropped into the lives of. And I think where this show does good is the acting. I think each of the actors, Malik El-Assal, Lucy Fryer, Amita Rao, Owen TL, and Jack Inanan, who plays Paul Baker, they're just funny. They're like inherently so funny in their body languages and things like that. And I think the star is like Amita Rao and Malik El-Assal. For Amita Rao, just how unhinged and annoying she's made Isa's character. To the point of like, I've heard people be like, oh my god, Isa's so annoying. And it's like, yeah, that's the point. And I think Samir is just, I identify a lot with Samir in the sense that just the internal like, fuck of panic anytime something happens that is slightly or mildly inconvenient.
As I've said, I exist on a baseline of at least 10 to 15% anxiety all the time.
Exactly. And I think Malik El-Assal gets that so well. It's amazing. So I think the acting and the kind of subtle comedic elements of it are what make the show great. Also, it has like a great supporting cast. It has like Charlie Cox for a few episodes. It has Darcy Carden for like an episode. So yeah, it's great. I think why it didn't make me, I won't like be like, oh my god, this is the sitcom for our generation, is like it didn't have as many like laugh out moments or like giggle moments. And I'm going to compare it to like Schitt's Creek and Abbott Elementary, which are sitcoms from like now. They are about older people, of course. But I think they have a lot more like genuine laugh out loud moments in every episode, almost every episode that you watch. And I think the only episode in this that I like actually laughed out loud was like the last one, which I think is the best episode. Like episode 8 called The Mail, I think is the best episode. It does sitcom so well that I think I will watch season 2, of course, but purely because of how like episode 8 ends and the way they did it. So I do think that, you know, the creators, Ben Cronengold and Rebecca Shaw, are kind of getting into it a little bit more as they kind of go on. And I think they're finding their footing a little bit more with how to tell these stories.
I think that is like something that every sitcom can relate to. Like I'm thinking of like the most popular sitcom, if I'm correct, in the US, which is The Office. Its first season is very different from the rest of the seasons because it took its time to find that footing. The first season is very similar to the UK one and it takes its time. And that also makes me like very curious. You mentioned this is like 8 episodes and that's just not typical for like a lot of sitcoms. And so that makes me curious, in this like streaming model in which the sitcom is produced, like does it have that staying power because it's not able to reiterate as much, it's not able to hook people in as much?
No, I think it definitely hooks people in. It does hook you because I think if you're an older person watching this, you're like, fuck these kids, man. This is how the kids live. And if you are someone in your 20s, like around, they're meant to be around 24, 25, like really close to us in age. And like people like 2-3 years older than us. For us, it's kind of like, other people's lives are as shit as ours are. So I think it has these like hook points, but you're right in the sense that there's not enough time for us to fall in love with the characters, which I think is what a sitcom ultimately does end up doing. Like I'm going to take it back to Schitt's Creek because Schitt's Creek is the same, like what you said with The Office. If I'd had only the first season to watch, I would not have watched the other seasons. However, I had the other seasons to watch and Schitt's Creek like goes uphill massively and ends at such a peak that I would never want it to continue anymore because I'm just like, Schitt's Creek ends amazing. So I'm like really hopeful for how this like picks up and takes off. And I'm really glad that the last episode of the season reflects that because I think it really kind of finds its own bones, finds its own like things and bits that it can hook onto and latch onto, which I think is great.
I also have another question in that case. I'm not sure, but did this come out all at once in like a binge way or was it coming out once a week? Because I think that is also crucial in like getting more people in. If like, again, one thing with the sitcom, a trope that does make it successful in my opinion, it does feel like something you can come to every week and like enjoy in that way.
I think it came out in one go.
Okay.
It was released as an FX original on like Hulu and then that's how it gets onto like Disney.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think a lot of new shows are not doing the 1 episode a week thing purely because I don't think they have enough episodes for that.
Yeah, that's what I'm coming to. Like my thing is, again, I might be wrong and it's a good thing if I'm wrong because something else becomes successful, something else is like, you know, but I think with a lot of new shows right now, you can just consistently see when streaming services are going back to the episode a week model, the show is just much more likely to be successful because it has the ability to build off something every week.
I see that, but I don't think that could work with sitcoms.
Okay.
Because previously, why sitcoms used to be released weekly is because they were on television.
Yeah.
They were on air. That's the only way you could do something on air, right? But a sitcom is not traditionally something that has like storylines that bleed from one episode into another. The whole point of a sitcom is that each episode is something different. Each episode is an episode of these characters' life that are somewhat loosely connected, but like you don't have to watch episode 2 to understand episode 5.
Oh no, 100%. In that case, I also would also agree that a lot of reasons why modern sitcoms are successful is people binge them.
Exactly, right. And I think that's how sitcoms, when they are released on streaming, I think they do have to be released at once because the way you keep an audience hooked for weekly episodes if there's suspense, if there's something to look forward to in next week. And you cannot build that on a streaming platform, because nobody's going to go back to a streaming platform in a week's time unless they have something like really, like they need some questions answered or things like that. Obviously, there are ways to do that with a sitcom as well, just like create a fun teaser or something. But
yeah, you're right. I think more dramatic shows benefit much more with that than sitcoms would.
For sure, yeah. So I think Adults the first season is a really good, like not a really good, but it's a fun base. I'm more excited for season 2 though, and I hope to God there is a season 2. And again, I just want to take it back to the actors. I just think they are brilliant, and I need to see them in more comedy stuff. I think Owen TL is in Overcompensating, which is a new, I don't know if it's considered a sitcom. I don't think it is. I think it's a dramedy on Amazon, made by Benito Skinner. As funny on Overcompensating as they are on Adults, which I think is fantastic. Amita Rao is, I think, in Delhi Boys. She's also, I've seen like clips of her. She's as funny on there as well. I just need to see newer generation comedic actors in sitcoms. And I'm really happy to be seeing that. But yeah.
Fair enough. So hopefully FX does renew it. Still not confirmed. But for now, those are our thoughts. Thank you for tuning in. This podcast is produced solely by us. Musical assets are from Pixabay. If you enjoyed this, please share it with your friends. And see you again next time.
Bye-bye.